What's the key to being an ideal team player? Don't be a jackass. Happy Friday, everyone. Gene Clark back with you this week with my review of the ideal team player. This is my part 2 video from the summary I posted last week. If you haven't had a chance to catch that one, please check that out first and then come back and check this one out. So if you've made it this far into the video, I take it you've either read the ideal team player or you don't mind the spoilers that are coming your way. So the initial quality that Jeff, Claire, and Bobby are looking for in new employees is for them to just simply not be a jackass. However, Claire, their HR director, didn't think that was exactly going to be PC enough to either put out in ads, or they didn't want that to become the company motto. Therefore, they decided, well, let's dive a little bit deeper. And that's where, after hours sitting down and really taking the time to do a deep dive into it, they came up with the 3 virtues of humble, hungry, and smart. When it comes to the 3 virtues, Patrick states, and I quote, "Humility is the single most indispensable attribute of being a team player. Hungry people don't have to be pushed, and smart people simply refers to a person's common sense about people. What makes these virtues powerful and unique is not the individual attributes, but rather the required combination of all 3. And when I read that last line, it really struck me as true. And Patrick later goes on to elaborate of how any individual that might be lacking significantly in one of the virtues is really not going to fit that ideal team player mold. And he goes on to give them cutesy names, but I'll just give you the scenarios. Think about somebody that is smart and hungry. That person's got the drive, they've got the people skills. They're not going to be there for the team, they're in it for themselves. They're going to manipulate things to advance their career and move up the ladder, either within the company or outside the company. They don't really care, because in the end, it's not about the team, it's not about the company they work for, it's about them. Take away hungry, replace it with humble. Now you've got an individual that doesn't have that drive, and they're really nice. They're always going to give other people the credit. They're not looking for any credit for themselves. They've got that emotional connection with their coworkers. And now you've got an individual that isn't going to go above and beyond for the company they work for. They're not going to necessarily turn down work, but they'll give other people the credit, and they're more or less there just to socialize with their coworkers, and they care more about their outside lives rather than what's going on in the business. And that's the reason the first book review that I am presenting to everybody is the ideal team player, because I think it is crucial for your leadership skills. And the reason for that is because it starts with you. You can't be a good leader if you can't critique yourself and you can't look inward and say, okay, what areas am I lacking in? What areas can I improve in? Is there a virtue that I don't score as high in? Is there a virtue that maybe I've only got one strong virtue as opposed to, 3 mediocre ones? Maybe you're really lacking in 2. I don't know. And the only way you can do that is by taking the self-assessment in the book. What I have done for everybody is I'm going to put a link to the PDF. You can check that out, and you can go on. Every category, it's 1 through 3, and rate yourself and do an honest assessment. And if you don't think you can do an assessment of yourself, find somebody who will give you honest feedback, and maybe do both. Do an assessment on yourself, and then find somebody that'll give you that feedback, and compare the 2 areas and look at everywhere you gave yourself a 2 and say, well, why did I give myself a 2? Should I get a 1 or should I get a 3? Look at everywhere you gave yourself a 1. Why'd you give yourself a 1 there? Are you really that weak in that particular area? And, when you give yourself a 3, are you that confident that you are as good as you can be in that particular area? I know for myself, I am lacking in the humility area, but I don't know if that's so much I don't have that humility, or I didn't feel confident enough giving myself threes on every line. And so I might have given myself more twos than I really should have. And maybe I need to go out and have somebody else look at my scores and look at me and give me that feedback. Like I said, for anyone that's interested in doing their own assessment, I've got a link to the PDF in the description down below. And also I'll have a link to the Ideal Team Player where you can purchase that off Amazon if you haven't already read it. My biggest takeaway from the book, I mean, we've been talking about the whole video, it's the three virtues: humble, hungry, and smart, which the book points out on many occasions. It's so obvious. Why did we not think of this before? And I think that's one of the reasons we don't. It is so obvious because you don't want to work with someone that's lazy. You want to work with someone that's hungry. You don't want to work with someone that's arrogant, that's going to take all the credit. You want to work with someone that's humble, that's willing to give others credit where credit's due, and is able to say, you know what, I don't have the skills necessary. I need to go reach out to my team members and ask for help. And lastly, you want someone that's people smart. You don't want somebody who is lacking those emotional skills and can't relate to one another. And it's all three of those working in harmony that gives you that ideal team player. And it's really obvious, but the book takes a deeper dive down into things, why we miss those things when we're looking at new hires or our current team members, and how we can work with the current culture we've built and the current team members we have to implement these virtues and improve them individually. And like I said, that all starts with that self-assessment on yourself. And after you do it, I'd recommend giving it to your team members, having them do it on themselves, and then going over with them, why did you rate yourself the way you rated yourself, just like you do with yourself. Now, I will say, if I had one teeny tiny negative thing to say about the book, it would be this. And this message is going right to Patrick. Patrick, you're killing me. You build up this whole story, build up these characters, and then the fable just ends. And I feel like I needed one, maybe two more pages at the most. Give me those, 6 months later, a little page, and then 6 months later, a little page. We've got these two major projects that are going on. You've got this new, head of the company. You've got this new company philosophy going. They've got all kinds of, turmoil going on at the beginning of the story. And as we go through, things start to turn around, but it ends. We don't know how the projects turn out. We don't know how it all ends. And I feel like I was watching a Hallmark movie and it just cuts off the last 5 minutes. I wanted that little bow. I wanted it to be nice. I know that's not the point of the book. I know that the bigger takeaway is the humble, hungry, smart, and the fable's just a little story to explain it all. But that's my criticism. I wanted 2 more pages. I wanted that last little bit to tie it up nicely, put a bow on it, and then dive deeper into the 3 virtues. And that's it for the Ideal Team Player. As you know, I'll be posting book summaries and book reviews that focus on leadership and helping you develop your leadership skills. I've got another summary coming out on Monday and another review of that book coming out 2 weeks from today. So if you're interested in that, please follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My question today for everyone watching the video is, what are your thoughts on the Ideal Team Player? If you haven't read it, are you interested in reading it? Do you have any other books that you would recommend to me that I should summarize and review? I can't wait to hear and read all your comments, and I will see you guys next time.